shall blue, like the sky painted perfect in the panel view.
Welcome to the J&E Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Holmes, and to my right is my co-host, my best friend, sometimes my worst enemy, Giant Kent.
I can take the worst enemy description. That's not bad.
Hey, man, it's only like 20% of the time, but sometimes,
I can work with 20%.
you know. But anyway.
This is, like you said, this is my best friend. I've known him since freshman year, and we've been roommates ever since. And it's my dog, and we're both seniors in college right now, and we've been wanting to start this podcast for a while. We've just been talking about it, going back and forth, having a lot of thoughts about it. But this is the day, like right now, right here. And
that's all we have right now.
So
and here we
I'm
are.
pretty happy.
Decided to make a podcast, and for the first podcast, we figured we'd just kind of go a bit over how we met, our origin story type shit, and then also we're going to cover what and how we got into fitness and like what fitness has done for us. And then on top of that, we're going to cover, hopefully if we get to it, what spirituality means to us and how we've been kind of diving into that world lately.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, bro, take us back to freshman year, bro.
I mean, as y'all are tuning in right now, it's a lot of storytelling, and please be patient with us. This is our first podcast, but also I'm glad you're watching. But since freshman year, oh my god, I mean, like,
well, it was really before freshman year.
Yeah, it really was.
Because if you think so it really started. It was the summer before freshman year, and I was nervous already to go to college. Like, I know a lot of people, like, it's a common thing, but I was really nervous about it. And I remember being on a Zoom call for the tennis team, and we were just talking about the season coming up and everything, and which I was also nervous for tennis because I wasn't even recruited. I just talked to the coach, and I was already coming to the school. We go to Hanover College, by the way. And he was just let me on the team. He was very nice about it, and I was pretty nervous because I felt like since I wasn't recruited, I wouldn't, I didn't have the highest expectations for myself. And that's where I met Giant. He was on the Zoom call, and I said, you know what, that guy seems pretty fucking cool, and I need a roommate, and I don't want to room with anybody else, so.
And it's crazy how, like, you chose me, bro, because I'm sure, like, I was like, damn, this ain't going to room with me, because I'm sure, like, I bet even back then I was probably being so weird and just obnoxious and oblivious, but, like, I mean, I was just kind of like surprised.
And I remember when I texted him because I just asked the coach for the for your number, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I texted you, and I could just kind of tell right away. He was like, what is this guy? Who's this guy asking me to room with him? And I think he already had people coming from like where he lived from that he was thinking about rooming with, right?
Yeah, because I also played football and tennis, so tennis was kind of just like a secondary sport for me. So I already had some friends who actually were coming up from Cedartown, Georgia. That's where I'm from, and I was planning on rooming with some of them, but I really wasn't as close to them, and I was very much on the feeling of just wanting a new beginning. So I was kind of just was no strings attached. I feel like since I've been young, I've always kind of found a way to find some type of comfort in myself. So I kind of was really okay with rooming with somebody else. Like, I was doing my best to take the inside of me anywhere I go, try to not let it depend on the environment. So,
man, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead back then. I just knew that, like.
Yeah, I don't know if I said that to myself literally, but like that's kind of how.
That's how you felt. I feel you. No, because I literally just didn't want to room with someone I didn't know back then because I was more of this just socially anxious type, and I figured you seemed like a cool guy, and then you ended up being a pretty cool guy. So I don't know. I remember specifically he tried to FaceTime me one time while I was in the restroom, and he got mad. He got mad because I didn't pick up, but then we ended up playing Fortnite, and we caught a dub, like, the first night or something?
I know, bro. That was so...
And then from then on out, it was raps. Like,
it was like, yeah, we're really, like, come on now.
Yeah.
Yelling in the mic and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I was kind of mad at you for, like, a week, bro, because you didn't pick up when you was... you were on the toilet, and you didn't pick up.
Like, what am I supposed to do, bro?
But also, that was the first time I called you. So when I called you, you're just forwarding it. I was like, oh dang.
No, I guess I see how that can make you.
Because sometimes I can like not really take that into consideration. I just before I even text people, I might call them because I'm just like.
Yeah, I didn't even know you, and my friends back then like didn't even FaceTime. We didn't FaceTime,
Yeah,
so like that was new to me too. But bro, I don't know. It was raps from there. Like freshman year, man, like
dude,
that was wild.
That was so insane. I mean, basically to sum it up, I was like, I played football and tennis, so I was very messy, and I mean, half the time my socks smell like shit, and his shoes smell like shit. So
no, my favorite thing was
we couldn't figure it out.
We didn't.
And we'd be spraying each other with Febreze.
dude, and we lived in Donner, which is a like residence hall for the first month, while the building we were supposed to be living in, which was being renovated, was still being renovated. Like it was supposed to be done, but they were still renovating it. So we lived in Donner, and I remember for that month and a half, since we were only there for a month and a half, you just figured, why unpack any of my clothes? And you just
that was bad.
You just had like a huge duffel bag.
Well, because we were supposed to move in. We were supposed to move in into our next dorm, and we were supposed to move in that week. And
yeah, bro.
Then the second week came by, the third week came by, the fourth week came by, and my clothes. I'm still digging out my bag, and we didn't even have laundry. We didn't have
no
dryer and washer.
We had to go somewhere else.
So it'd be 11 o'clock at night.
It was a struggle, man.
Evan's coming in, he's like, bro, I just got back from walking across campus, like to Blythe to wash and dry my clothes.
And then if God forbid you forget, my gosh, they're on the floor in the basement, and somebody threw your stuff all over the floor.
Yeah, that was bad. We were struggling.
We had no AC too.
No AC, but then we got blessed into this new dorm. It was super nice. I mean, we had our own thermostat.
And
I didn't really know how to use it. But I really would just look at it and be like, bro, because it'd say like cool, and I didn't know if to go up and down.
Bro, how do you feel like? Do you feel like that change after freshman year is kind of like what accelerated everything for you? Like that, like going through that freshman year, like was kind of almost like a catalyst.
Oh yeah, because the second semester of my freshman year was a complete fiasco emotionally. And just everything was just so identity disruptive. I really couldn't take it, honestly. I felt like I was going insane. I felt mental. It was it's very heartbreaking, I guess. It was very heartbreaking for me to kind of start forgetting who I was, not by choice, but by like things that happened to me. Like when I wasn't able to, I used to have that default setting of, always coming back to, I know myself, or I'm happy, and when that default setting was gone, and then I became, just kind of like a puzzle with missing pieces, and I didn't know where they were. It was a catalyst for everything. But
yeah, man, and I think, it's a combination of multiple factors, especially it was for me at least, because it's like it removes you from the place you were in for so long that you were comfortable at, and then throws you into a new environment. And on top of that, you're in this new environment, you are, you're not around your family anymore, and you're completely on your own in a sense, and you have to reforge the foundation of your frame of reference around you, because you're no longer with the same people, you no longer have maybe the same surrounding beliefs and expectations, and so everything is new, and everything, which means in a way it's good because it provides this sense of elasticity. You can change and evolve and choose what you want to believe now and choose how you want to live, but with that freedom also comes a lot of unknowns and doubts, I felt like, and I think for us it was, go ahead.
No, I remember, bro, freshman year, I had no idea what anxiety was.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I never really felt like I had experienced anxiety before. Like, I always masked it with nervousness, and it wasn't ever really a big deal to me. And I would remember I'd even see commercials about mental health and all that type of stuff. And I would always say to myself, I'm just not going to think too much. I would always be like, they're just thinking too much. And then, you know, we were really black and white. Like,
That's what I think so funny about it. Literally and metaphorically, we were black and white because he at one point on one side of the coin was the most social person I've ever met. Hands down, I've never met someone more social than him, especially during freshman year. It was cool to watch because you would go up to every single person and you would introduce yourself, make friends, like maybe not every single person literally, but for example, we'd be in the dining hall and we'd spend an extra 45 minutes in there because you'd be talking to so many people. Whereas someone like me, like going up and talking back then, like you mentioned not knowing what anxiety was, that's all I thought about. Like me going up to talk to somebody was like a prime event in my day. Like that would be, and I know like a lot of y'all can probably relate to that too, and it's just like felt like it was just this huge ordeal. And then I would watch you, and as we're becoming friends, like we related to so many things on so many levels with how we thought. We would stay up talking.
Oh yeah.
And we would play the same video games, listen to the same music. We'd have the same favorite artists. And yet we were two completely different people when it came to extroverts and introverts. And you really, to watch you go around and like it was nothing, just go hang out with a group of girls or go, that you would hang out with the whole girls soccer team or like go hang out with, whoever invited you over whenever, like it was no big deal. Whereas someone like me, it was like, that was a whole, like I had to prepare my mind for that. And so that clashed hard for like the first few months, I feel like. And I had to like learn how to live like that. And it really, that's what helped me grow a bunch, I feel like, especially at the beginning.
And I had no idea too, I had no idea that you were even anxious, bro, that you even felt, for some reason, I just really didn't make no assumptions. Like, kind of assumed that how I was just, what's the word? It just, like, it just wasn't anything, for me to go up to people. I never really thought much of it.
Like, it wasn't even a thought in your mind.
I was in a new environment completely, and even like the way the way I was when I was younger in school, I was very much ready to get away from that. So I was just I had this optimism that was very unique because of the situation I was in. So it was almost like I have to this is the new beginning. This is the new chapter I've been waiting for. And I remember, dude, we're so close, and we'd stay up talking for hours, in the bed, and we're just looking at the ceiling like, oh, did you have fun tonight? Bro, and it was just like, dude, like that was probably the best moments, just kind of, we're right across from the room and it's dark and there's light on the speaker and we're just both talking.
Yeah, bro.
And I really thought I was very knowledgeable back then, but my words probably.
Well, I think that's just how it goes, right? I think we get smarter and then we always look back and be like, wow, I was dumb back then. But I think that no matter how successful we get, bro, that will always be, there's nothing better than that. Like just hanging out with your boys at the end of the day and just talking for like hours or just hanging out and laughing. Like I think that's what we've kept like in our life. And I think that's what like makes friendship and like your relationships that's what builds your relationships with anybody, is being able to have that, no matter what's going on, we can just sit and kick it and talk and have fun and laugh. And because at the end of the day, it just reminds you of things not being that deep. But I think for me, and it was like, even for example, like I think we definitely rubbed off on each other because I think you became a little bit more anxious after that first year. And then I became a lot more social. So it was like, we probably got a little bit of both. But I remember I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I first came onto campus, like the first day as we were moving in, I basically had like a panic attack. Like I could not breathe. Like I was walking in, moving my stuff in, and I could not breathe. Like I was so nervous. And that's the shows you.
I couldn't even tell.
Because, well, you weren't moved in for another few days. So you actually didn't show up.
Yeah.
But so like it was intense, bro. And I used to just think so much about it. And I think I came from a place where it's like I was comfortable where I was at because I knew everything and I liked my environment before school. And you came from a place where you wanted to get out of that environment. So that also like adds into that. But yeah, man, I used to be very very anxious. And I remember that day. Then I met Brandon, which is one of our other roommates and best friends, and future guest on the podcast.
You'll like him.
He's something. But I met him, and he was on the tennis team too. And then from then on, at least I had a friend, and it got better. But just know, if any of y'all struggle with that, man, like, you're not alone. And even someone, you never know what someone's going through, or how they really feel, or if they really, you may think somebody's the most confident person in the world, or just because they have looks, or just because they have this, or they have their things together, but it's really just never that simple,
Yeah.
So
it really ain't, because sometimes I've caught myself looking at certain people, and I'm just like, how come I just look at them and I make this assumption about them? It's like, I'm like, wow, I feel like they don't even have to worry about their, they're not even thinking about it. Like, but really, you have no idea what how they really feel. You're almost doing a disservice to their whole being by filling in words for them. Oh, that person's probably that way. That person's probably that way. So I think from freshman year, even us like rubbing off on each other, there was a time, bro, where I could sense your nervousness, and it kind of scared me a little bit. Like, not in the way that I was like afraid of you, but sometimes thinking is contagious. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you have those thoughts, like, and I had a very weak mind, so, but I also just feel like you have had so much character development, but now that I know what anxiety feels like, and depression and all that, and the question why, it changed my whole outlook of why I was social in the first place. Now when I go up to people, I try to make sure that I want to talk to them because I really want to talk to them. Not because they're going to make me feel some type of way. Even if they do.
Which is what you felt like you did before? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe it was just, I don't think I maybe explicitly said to myself, I'm going to go up to this person and talk to them and make myself feel better. But
that's what you were doing.
That's probably what I was doing, and it's probably, I had great relationships. It was amazing, but now I think the relationships that I have now are so much more, they have so much more content behind them. Not just about, like, not that it's like a fun relationship or anything, but content, humanness, not, maybe even freshman year, it was probably even that performance, that just, even falling in love with that excitement.
That's unconscious
to go
too.
Do that stuff.
Yeah.
That's just, you're feeling excited to go do that, and you almost, which is, it's different. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you're attaching to that excitement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Grabbing hold of it because everyone else is doing the same thing, and you want to feel like you're a part of what they're doing, and you want to because that makes you feel like you're being successful in some way, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's why I think your why really matters.
Though, or you, like, dude, I just don't know.
Everything would have been different.
I just really don't know. But I was so blessed.
But one thing that really helped me with my anxiety, and that's what our second topic is about, is the gym, which we both have different relationships with it. And I originally was the first one that I feel like, you've always been an athlete. I mean, you've been a football player. You've been in the gym. In freshman year, I was the one, like, I would go to the gym with Giant, and I was very small back then, and it'd be like, Giant would be chest press in the 80s, and I'd be like chest press in the 30s. And I was like, how do you do that? So you really started out, like, I was like, what? This guy can move weight. But so come sophomore year, or really end of freshman year, is when because of all this anxiety and being in a new place and stuff, like, I wanted to, feel better about myself. And I kind of stumbled into working out, and I really, like, grabbed it, like,
you grabbed
strong,
it hard.
like, right away.
Ordering pre-workout.
Like, right away, I was in the gym every day, didn't miss a day for months, and that's really how it was, bro. I was obsessed with it, and
you were so stern too, bro. I couldn't even get you to feel a different type of way about.
I would not sacrifice anything to go to the gym. I remember sophomore year, first semester, like, this is when we still played on the tennis team. We've quit since then, and this is actually what happened is during sophomore year, I didn't really enjoy tennis, and I really got into lifting. And it got to the point where I was still in an anxious, and I almost got like pretty like depressed, and went through a rough period. But I did have the gym, and that's like what really helped me. It was the one thing I was kind of like you said, I was like really holding on to. And so I ended up quitting tennis even against, I remember you guys thought I was crazy because y'all would be like, dude, all you do is like lift. Like you don't like tennis, you don't play, you don't you go to class, but you don't really try at school. Like you don't seem to care that much about school. Like all you do is lift. And y'all thought I was like weird or just crazy for it. Just kind of was out there because I was so attached to it. I just had this feeling, bro, that like, first of all, it gave me what I was looking for as like an outlet of like all of my emotions that I had like in myself that I didn't know how to deal with, all of the fear and like the doubt, the self-doubt and the this and that and anxiety and like just all these unsure feelings. And I was able to release that and in some ways better that in the gym. And I also was gaining the sense of like self-confidence from being in the gym. And so I knew that there was something to it. And you know when you get that feeling, like you just got to stick with it. And so that's what I did. And I quit the tennis team. And, you know, ever since I've just been like super. And I remember everybody around me was like, so you're quitting to like lift weights? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, okay. Like, why are you doing that? But that's what I did. And it ended up working out for me. So I'm glad I did. But I think for me, it just, even now, and I think my relationship with the gym has changed a little bit. I'm less of a, you know, self-negative person, I think. And I needed it at that time. I needed that mindset of like, you're going to do this to get better. Like it was almost that self-hate to motivate. And that's what kind of climbed me out of like kind of the darkness I was in. I remember especially reading like David Goggins' book during that winter term or that winter break. And I read that and I started to lock in on schoolwork and just I was grinding the gym and it just really like developed this sense of like self-confidence within me. And not only that, and I tell people this all the time, but I think that it just is fun. Like it was fun and it was something I enjoyed doing. And that's what like helped it stick so much. It was something that I could go be productive at the same time enjoy and like release my emotions. So it just was kind of this like combination of things, which I'm sure like a lot of you guys can relate to. And it just became something that I couldn't let go of it. And I think now I'm at the point where I'm a little bit less more of like super hard on myself with it and like expecting so much out of myself and more so just letting it be something I enjoy. But yeah, I think that's really my experience with it. And then after that, you know, sophomore year kind of went by and I think you kind of started working out, but then especially junior year. I mean, again, like I said, you played football and stuff, but I think it was, junior year summer, you stayed here for, I want you to talk about this, but you stayed here to work over the summer. And you went from how much weight to how much weight? That first one?
300. And then in that summer, I dropped down to about 236.
Yeah, so you lost something like 70 pounds like in one summer, which was just awesome. And you went hard, bro. I remember seeing this, like if like you almost had your own, like you flipped the switch. And then I remember you became a little bit more out of it for a little bit, but then you started picking it back up again. And, you know, now ultimately you're down to what, 220 and you're fit and you've been lifting for like a year and a half now. So consistently. So, you know, tell us a little bit about that and like how it's affected your life.
I mean, also I just want to say this, Evan, bro, like in all honesty, dude, the fact that you're able to, I mean, to be able to set boundaries so early about I'm going to work out because I want to work out and, you know, to really go against the grain. Mm-hmm. I did have the thought of like, dang, why is he taking this like so serious? Like, you know, relax. And then, but I always accepted you for it. I was just like, man, okay. I mean, like, it was like, and then I'd just be like, I'm gonna come, like, or something like that.
Right.
But I do have a lot of, I have a lot of respect for you whenever you're ready to put your foot down and say, I'm just gonna commit to this. It's nice. It was nice to, I guess, be a part of.
Well, because I think also you're somebody, like you said that I'm someone who's like able to commit easily and be disciplined and be stern with like what I want to do. But you're also somebody who, especially with people you trust, if they start doing something you'll see it as a viable option, or like maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah.
And so you're very quick to like, okay, I trust you. Like if you think this is like good for me, or like you think this is good for us, like I'll do it.
Because it's almost like a survival technique, you know? Like it's kind of it's a
Evolve.
way to see how to live life differently. So there's also somebody who, if they suggested this, if they even had the balls to suggest something, then I felt there was truth in that. Because maybe I just didn't have the balls to suggest anything.
Mhm.
But, and so when I was younger, I just went on so many different paths with certain ways that I acted and everything, because I was a big believer in everyone has something to offer. And who are you to say that you know? But probably a little too much humility, because you can also just, it's okay to trust your own opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to go back about the me losing weight, it was really, I mean, that it was really hard to go from 300 to 230 and to lose all that weight, because when you were so addicted to food, I mean, I never really realized that my addiction was that big, but
No, you had a for real probably what you could say is like an eating disorder. Like
it was bad. And I remember how I used to eat as a kid was I would always I would always ask mom for seconds when everyone would go to sleep. You know, we'd sometimes leave our plate out and I'd come back out and eat their food. It was really bad. It isn't something that, I don't think I'm ashamed of it,
no, I mean
but it's something that was very real. It was something that for a while it got to the point where I can't hide that type of eating.
I mean that affects your life. That's something people judge you off of or base off of you. Like,
Yeah.
people want to say that it's not, but it definitely is. Like if you're somebody who's like pretty overweight, like people are gonna like see that and like see how you eat and stuff and kind of like not think less of you in any type of way, but just notice it. And it's just something like that you don't necessarily want people to like, it's kind of like,
because I remember, I don't know who I was with, but somebody had said something about this like this big person was like, oh my god, like why is that person that big, or that like, they're just dumb, like and then I would think I would say, dang, this is what they think about me, like and that was kind of like, because I was big and it was just kind of, but I didn't lose the weight for them. Like I think you kind of go out, when you're losing weight, this is, I feel like how it goes. It's, you're losing weight and it's very you intrinsic, like you're the one doing it. But then you start to look better. So then you start to get compliments. And then you realize that other people are paying attention to you. So then you get excited. Then you're like, wow, like I can look even better. If I look more better, I'll get more attention. And then for a little while, your motive is like, once I get these abs, I'm gonna, pull all these girls. Or once I try and get fit, then I'll be happy. And then I went through that phase for a little bit, and I finally came over the top where I know that the better I look, then it's just how it goes. Like the better you look, probably the more people who will look at you. But that doesn't need to be your motivation. But it's also okay to have those feelings of like, wow, I want to look better and I want to look nice. Like it's all okay to have those feelings. It doesn't make you bad or anything.
Because everybody has those. Like you can't tell me as much as you want to. If you're somebody who's acting like, oh yeah, I don't do this shit for the girls, bro. There's none of me that does that. You can't tell me that at one point you didn't like start to get jacked and think like, oh, I could probably talk to that girl now, or like any type of like, you start to feel. It's just human nature to have those thoughts and to feel those ways, because you realize that, and like we all have egos, like we all do, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's okay if you have those feelings and stuff, but it's more important to realize and know that at the end of the day, that's not what this is about. This is for improving myself mentally, physically, spiritually, releasing stress,
because it's the same way of like, sorry to cut you off, but like it's literally the same. That same idea is the same way of what being with a woman is like. It's you just don't need to get it confused. Where being in the gym is great, and to look better is great, and it's kind of like being with a woman. Like it's great to have sex, like, but that's just a bonus. Like looking good is looking better is just a bonus. Having sex with a woman is just a bonus. But who she is as a whole person is the same with like who you are as a whole person. That's the reason why you're attracted to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the reason why you're attracted to a woman, not because
Deeper
you know
than that, yeah.
it's deeper. It's the whole person, and it's, the reason why I'm attracted to the gym is I'm attracted to me, like not physically, but internally. How do I feel? What do I want? What am I valuing? Like all those, and I think they're just really legitimate. Like,
yeah. And I think for both of us, it's just done so much work in our lives for, making us not only more confident and more self-assured and, also just more capable in general. And that, if you're able to get up and consistently force yourself to work out for months on end and, eat and stuff like that, I think it teaches you that you can carry that. That discipline is transferable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think for us, it definitely transferred with classes, and we started really applying that stuff to life and to, I think we started just really applying it, and it has worked wonders. So it's not only do you get the physical benefits of how you feel mentally and physically, and the looks wise aspect of it, but then on top of that, it also helps you with other areas in your life. So it's really just a win-win-win, and I think that we've just grown so much because of the gym, and I think it's just a great habit that we have, and I don't think we'll be stopping anytime soon.
yeah,
So if anything, I'm just gonna keep getting stronger until I can bench more than you. So
that's just not gonna happen.
I mean, bro,
dude,
be realistic. It's a matter of time.
yeah, and time's on my side, motherfucker.
What? No way.
Bro, yes it is, bro. I'm finally healing myself, like my shoulders.
All right, let's move on. So let's move on to. Do you want to talk about spirituality today, or do you want to? We could also save that for another podcast, like more in depth. Or I was thinking we need to discuss 75 hard and kind of talk about that.
Yeah, we can save that for 75 Day Hard can be its own.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about spirituality, and then we can wrap things up. So.
Also, if y'all still tuning in right now,
if you made it this
really,
far,
for real, I really appreciate it because
we
are starting from the bottom. And,
yeah, man.
I know
we have our own, like,
and even coming on here and having this podcast, I was just like really nervous. Like, I was like, I want to sound correct,
yeah.
And then you just let go of all that performance anxiety, and we just,
it's
we're
just
boys.
a conversation
like, we've always
with
been
your boy.
here, and whatever conversation topic we go on, I think the best part about when we talk about anything is about realizing that everything, like whether you're into the gym, whether you're into this or whether you're into that, it never makes you better than anybody.
No, we're all on the same playing field.
Yeah, it's like it's all, everyone is one, and just because you may be better at that, it never needs to become a thing where, since they don't do that, they don't understand. It's like, no, it's like some people just like to live their lives differently, and that's okay. If you really love them, then be okay with
them wanting to be them.
Yeah. It's like, of course you can want the best for them, but wanting to the best for them should not triumph you letting them be who they are.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. Well, one thing I will say before we get into the spirituality talk, on the starting a podcast thing, if you are out there and you're wanting to start anything creatively, whether that's a podcast, an Instagram, you want to start a business, I don't know. There's plenty of other examples out there. I don't really know you personally. Just do it. If there's anything I've learned from starting an Instagram or from starting the gym, is that people don't care as much as you think they do at all. They really just don't. Everybody's in their own head worrying about their own thing. And all we have is now, and that time is short. So if you're not doing what you want to do, then you're missing out in life. So I just wanted to say that. Please take my word for it. Like I was, like he said, we were nervous to start this podcast, had, doubts and stuff about it, but, we're just going to do it. And I hope that you guys take a lesson from that and, follow your own passion.
And even if they do care, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do? Spend your
Or what are they going to do about it?
Yeah, what are they going to do? What are you going to do? Spend your whole 5 years weren't fixing everyone else's thoughts about you? Like, it's just miserable. And some people they're just, when you do certain things, they're just not going to like you. And you just got to be okay with that. You can't be mad at them for not liking you. Because, again, they have their own choice, their own right. You just got to be okay with the people who do show you love, and the people who don't, you wish them the best. And, it's like, that's all really.
Mm-hmm.
But we're supposed to talk about spirituality.
Yeah, we can. I think we'll probably do like a longer length podcast, kind of delving more deeply into it. But spirituality, just to kind of put a label on it, something that probably shouldn't have a label on it, just so that it's a little bit more clear. And this is credit from Russell Brand, but he said one time, spirituality is essentially the practice of becoming more aware. And I started my spiritual journey probably junior year for a second semester, so about a year now. And it's just the most important thing I've ever done. Like I said, what that means to me is like learning how to be more self-aware, first of all, and more aware of the life that you have around you and the reality of life. And when I say like the reality of life, I mean that there's so many things that we focus on from a day to day. Take anxiety, for example. It's all things that aren't real. Like your thoughts in your head, they're all unreal things. Your worries, your fears about the future, or your, you contemplating or thinking about the past and all these messed up things you've done, or like not even messed up things, or things you think you've messed up on. None of it's real. It's all in your head. And I think the practice of spirituality is about getting real and realizing who you are, which is a great being. We are really, truly, even though we are very small in a sense because we're on this one small planet in the middle of this huge universe and part of a race of billions of people, we at the same time are such great in-depth beings, and we're all really beings of God. And I think that's what spirituality is realizing your own great potential and just the life you have around you. Like nothing needs to be done. You don't need to go out and get all these things to feel good inside. You just need to simply look around and say, hey, I'm in this moment. This moment is the only thing that's ever going to exist.
Yeah.
Because
it's like if you can't feel great with all this, and is it really all, if you really got the boat or
if you can't
you
feel
got
great,
all that, do you think,
getting another boat is going to help?
No.
And
it's the same with, and I just was kind of thinking, and I was just going to tie this back around. It's what I always failed to realize about spirituality is that it really is a long-term journey. Like
it's a lifelong journey.
The lifelong, yeah, to stay present, to always remind yourself that to not take things personal, to realize everyone's the same, but anything anyone does to you is not really because of you. It's just because of how they're feeling about the world, how they're feeling about themselves. And when you realize the things that you do in life are long term, it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes so much more. That's the same with the gym. If you're working out in 2 years I'll have that body, then I can just chill. That's doing.
I'm getting abs for the summer.
You're with that girl and you're like, once I just have that, like then things will start getting rolling. It's like then it turns into needy energy. It turns into this desperate energy of now things become impure. They become disingenuous because you're trying to look at things so that they can work. You're like, once I have that with that girl, and I have sex with that girl, that's gonna work. And then when I finally get to a shredded body, that's gonna work for my mental. When I get spiritual enough and I'm able to let go of my ego, right when that happens, then I'll be enough, and it's like that's just looking at it wrong.
Well, and I think notice at all the things that you're naming, whether that's with a girl or money or the body or this, that, and the other. What do those things have in common? It's okay. These are all external things. And if 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 external rewards still don't leave me feeling permanently happy or fulfilled, is the 25th? Is it the 30th?
Yeah.
Or is it really none of it? And that's the thing. Like you see people, the most successful people in the world, they hate themselves or they hate their life. And I think that's where something that you say a lot, which is really important, comes in, which is like you have to remember that all this outside stuff is a game. It's all really a game. And I think that once you start to realize that, I think this realization especially helped me out a lot with, as I talked about, I can kind of be hard on myself. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this, if you follow my Instagram and you're this kind of like type A, success motivated, you want to start a business or you want to get ripped and all this stuff, it can be very easy to be hard on ourselves. But I think this way of thinking makes you realize, it's really all not that important. I think for me, it made me realize like, yeah, I can go chase these things and like try to become better and better myself, but it's not the real point. We have everything we need right now and inside of us, and that internal purpose is what really matters.
Yeah.
But so that helped me a lot, especially even with the gym and just relaxing a little bit with like, okay, it's okay if you don't get everything, if you're not, it's just so built off of things being successful, you winning. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not about you winning or losing as much as you think it is. It's just not how life really truly works. Life is not about winning and losing. Life is about learning and growing. I think that's just another key takeaway we've both taken from spirituality is that shift in that mindset. It's like, okay, it's okay to fail. It's okay to not get things right, to not have things perfect. It's okay if you don't know where you want to go to graduate school or whether you want to do this job or that. And if you're not making six figures by 25, you know what I'm saying?
And it doesn't make you any less of a human either. But those are things that I can say that I'm still trying to work on, because when I'm low and I haven't got certain things done, I feel this pressure of like, feels like somebody's finna drop something on my head, and I have that feeling, like just that constant feeling on the inside of, wow, I need to watch out. I need to be, or something's gonna slip and fall. It's all gonna come crashing out. And if I can't figure this out, then how would I get a job? If I can't turn in a presentation, if I can't perform at school well, then how will I perform at life well? But I don't think they translate as much as like you would think,
Yeah.
And I think that there was something you just said earlier. I forgot you touched on
Not winning.
no, the game. So when I say game, I don't mean it in a life's a game as in like just not care about anything. This is all just
Oh yeah, we
throw it out
still
the
definitely
window.
care about
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely. I want to just clarify it
We
because
definitely do try to still become successful, and it's just about reshaping and defining what that means. And that's what I talk about when I say like having that inner purpose. Like it's about why you're doing these things. So I'm not saying at any means, neither of us saying like don't try to become successful, just like don't try hard in school, don't get jacked. I think all these things are great, but they can also be not great for your mental health if you're having the wrong why. So I think it's really important to approach it from a sense of like you're serving your life. You're really serving life by doing these things, and you're supposed to be trying and you're supposed to be doing these things, but you're just supposed to try your best. And trying your best doesn't mean winning or like doing good or succeeding. Trying your best means, hey, I got up today and I can truly say that I did my best with the day, with what was presented in front of me and the circumstances surrounding it. So I think that's what's really important. But what were you saying about the game?
no, definitely. I mean, that's a good point. But just how I was saying, a game in the way that sometimes I would wake up and I would just feel all these thoughts just flooding into my head. I just felt this sense of panic where I couldn't, thinking was happening to me. I wasn't thinking. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the thoughts were happening to me.
You weren't in the
I
control
wasn't
seat.
creating the thoughts.
You weren't in the driver's seat.
So I'm waking up and thoughts are hitting me, and I'm trying to, why am I feeling that way? Why am I thinking like this? And that's why today I didn't meditate, because I had this straight need of, okay, right, I'll calm these thoughts down right when I get to meditating, right when I go on that walk, right when I get to that gym. Then these thoughts will come down. It was, I need, the fact that I was thinking I needed these things, I needed to go do these things so then I could feel calm. But that's why it was very hard, because sometimes when you wake up and all that's happening to you, you just can really get, like, what's the word?
Overwhelmed.
Just completely discouraged, as if there's no way out. So, and that's why when I say game, you put a lot of pressure on yourself that I need to go up and be more social. I need to go up and talk to more people, and I need to work on my social skills. And I need to work on my relationship skills. I need to work on my football, whatever it is that you think you need to work on. That's great, but it needs to be like the secondary thing. You kind of. That's why when I started saying life is a game, because I started basing my worth on how well I could do at these things. Because it became something that I need to create this evidence for myself that I can do it. So it took a lot of authenticity out of it. Uh, it was more for talking to somebody was more to show myself something instead of really show them something. True presence looks outward, and that's. But I got that mixed up, like I truly got it mixed up. Of realizing that being so, it's all great, but even if you're not like that's okay. Like you made a lot because that's what kind of you get into that self improvement, and then you feel oh wow I'm improving at this, and it becomes serious. And then the moment you have that bad conversation, you've been working on social skills, you have bad conversation, you're just like, oh my god, I've been trying so hard, I've been working. How come that didn't flow right? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think what happens is that, and this is why I think it's so important when we talk about your why for things. But I think when you do start improving, especially at first, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this, is like your ego attaches itself. It's almost like you don't change the game. You just change teams, or you just change the way the game is looked at. So instead of really making deep down change, you're just saying, okay, instead of placing my worth in these other things like how people view me in parties or social events or just like trying to impress other people, I'm going to try to impress myself now, and I'm going to become this self-improvement person who does all the good things, and I'm smart and I have great conversations and I don't mess up, and I go to class and I go to work, I go to the gym. So then your ego now just switches what it's attached to. So now you're attached to this new person you've created. And then when you don't meet your own expectations, which is going to happen a lot because we're humans, now all your self-worth is based on this. So then you feel like you're never enough. So it almost becomes just the same thing in a different way. And, that's why I think when you're talking about the game, it's so important to realize that this climbing of the ladder, in a sense, is just a game. And we need to be first dancing with life and really just enjoying listening to the sound of the birds or just being in nature or just having a conversation with Lindsay or like whatever that may be. And if you can know your own worth without having to attach it to external things like having a certain follower count, having a certain, appearance, having good conversations with people, like if you can remove your attachment to that, that's your attachment to your ego and your self-defined person as who you are. But like we talked about, you have a greater purpose and you're a greater person than that. You're a great being in just who you are as a human. Every soul is. And when you can get down and realize that, I think that's what makes that switch for you, where you can start to be like, okay, I can let go of like caring so much about it working out. And that's, or like me being winning,
Because you have to, yeah, because you have to feel that. That was something that I struggled with a lot. They would always say like repetition makes things better. So I felt like if I repeated these things to myself, these affirmations, if I repeated these things to myself for time after time, then I would become these things. But in a sense, even repeating, I'm confident, you're trying to become a word. You don't even know the history of that word. You don't even know it's like, what does that mean, man? You have to go on and explain it. And it's like, how well do you think you know the definition of that word
that you're trying to become?
Like, and that's where I realized it's not about thinking and because again, even doing that is performing it. You like when you say, and that's something that I still struggle with is being able to feel that no matter who comes, no matter who leaves, no matter if I get a bad grade, if this or that, to feel
whole and complete still.
Yeah, and you have to kind of, I feel like, make that your intention to feel. And even when people say feel, what do you mean feel? Like, you have to really just stop and try to see if you have eyes and look down at your body and try to feel everything that's on the inside. And because I was so great at feeling when I was younger, I could feel a lot. That's why I was really out of my head when I came here. I didn't really live in here,
Yeah.
and I was very in the present.
You were naturally there, you know.
Yeah, and when I lost that, when I became a little more mind dominated, where it was sad. It was sad seeing that part of myself struggle, and I'm coming back from it, but I just want, and this is more something that you aren't just gonna wake up one day, I feel like, and just feel completely different. And even sometimes I hope for that moment where I just want to wake up and all the work that I've been putting in, it just shifts and I just flow.
That
But
moment
life
doesn't come.
is, you have to continue. Like, being present is a gift. And even Hector and all the great spiritual teachers, they say, like, it's right there in front of you. And
It's literally right now.
and it
Right
is,
now.
it's like, but you don't think this moment is worth it. You don't think this moment needs all your attention. So you start thinking and you start feeling. I realize that even when I'm
That's
talking to
so
somebody
true.
before,
Feeling, you can only feel if you're in the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really the only way.
Yeah,
There's nothing,
because
and that's what I realize even when I'm in
if you're
conversations
thinking, you're
with
not
people.
in the present. Yeah.
Like, when I'm in conversation with people, and I stop at some point. I stop enjoying it because I'm thinking about going to go do something else. That is the moment when I'm starting to get stressed
I know
out about the
everybody.
conversation.
We all do that, dude.
When I'm thinking about going somewhere else, when in reality, I'm gonna make it to that place on time. It happens all the time. This conversation is gonna end, and I don't even probably want it to end. If I was more present, if I was just okay with, I'm having a conversation with somebody right now, I'm not gonna forget about where I need to go. I'm not some like poorly written notes that just I can't read my own. I know that I have a meeting at 5. I'm having a conversation at 3. Why am I thinking about? It's like,
not going to help you at all.
yeah, it's like, if you accept, which that's what Hector Tolle talks about. I'm reading this new book. It's called The New Earth by Hector Tolle.
But just grab it. It's over there.
Yeah, it's in my bag, I think. And it's really made such an impact on me lately about the isness of thing, and just when you're with somebody, just be okay with being with them. You don't need to think about anything else, because what you do is thinking doesn't help you at all. It stresses you out. Yeah, this book, I'm telling y'all, like, just look at the cover. Like, it even looks.
We're going to be talking a lot of
Looks like the
of books
sun.
on this podcast.
I just don't know why he put a little penguin on the side, bro.
I like the penguin.
I like it too, but I don't know.
Penguin,
why
I
it's
feel
there.
like, is a cool animal.
Yeah, this is actually better than his other book, The Power.
That's
Now.
crazy, because I love The Power Now.
No, this book, oh my god, he goes ham in it.
Yeah. But I think you know, it's really just something that it's a lot to try to understand and implement, even though it sounds easy when you say, like, just be in the present and to just not think. It's very easy to say, stop thinking about your thoughts, or stop having thoughts, or stop being dominated by them, and stop caring about external things, because that's like how we've lived for 19, 20 years. So don't think by any means that we have it all figured out. Like,
Yeah.
we're still struggling to do this stuff every day.
Sometimes, dude, I wake up and I just don't even know. I'm like, sometimes I can forget it. Like, I can conceptually forget it. And then, you have those moments of, like, this is where it's at. And then it just vanishes, bro. And then you're just like, what happened? What do I need to do to get back to that state? So then you fall into that continual pattern of trying to get back to the past. Trying to get back to that past feeling. You know that feeling is there, but when that feeling, it's a different feeling every time. It's because it's more growth into presence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like more awareness
because
into presence.
Also, no moment is ever the same. So
Yeah.
you're gonna feel different at all moments. So you can't ever expect to feel the same way about a certain thing, because that's just not how life works. And I think that something that Michael Singer talks about, which is another spiritual teacher, that really helps me, is that, when you struggle with these doubts and stuff, and it can seem like, well, if these guys who are, they're working on themselves and reading and, working on spirituality every day, and they're still saying that they haven't made it yet, like, what about me? Like, if maybe you're thinking that, or just for my own self, saying to myself, like, am I really going to get to that point where I feel whole and content all the time? And, he says, and I think this is probably a good place to probably end this talk for now.
Yeah.
But he says that if you are seeking and you are being truthful in your seeking, and when I say seeking, you are seeking like truth and light, the pure, like basically just the spiritual path, and seeking that, that state, because deep down it's not, it sounds all woo woo and what is he talking about, but you know what I'm talking about. Deep down,
like,
you want to be what you want is you want that feeling inside that feels empty, that hole inside of you, which we all have, and that we all try to fill it with different things: external validation, relationships, love, getting married, degrees. If you want to have that feeling and you really want to get it, then that's what the spiritual path is, because it's learning how to be, you want that feeling of contentness and being okay with what you have. And that's what spirituality teaches you to do. So, but Michael Singer says, if you are pursuing that path and you're being honest, then you will find your way. And I think that's, the biggest takeaway from it all, is that if you really sincerely try, like, you will make it.
Yeah.
So,
and also to wrap this up,
this is our first podcast, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening. It just means a lot if you're watching, and even though we don't know who's all watching, it really does mean a lot, because this was really something for us, and we're just grateful.
I hope you keep watching.
Yeah, please keep watching. And we have some.
If you thought this was good, which I don't know if it is, if you thought this was good, though, I think it's gonna get better, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
it can only get better. I mean, it may get worse. Who knows? Like, it'll be a great surprise for us. But
did it, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Peace out.
Check this book out.
Until next
We all get a chance. Change your life.
If I call you and I'm crazy,